of mystery and horror. The air itself is filled with monsters.
Children of the night, what music they make. He's alive! He's alive!
Well, hello, all you monster fiends, and thank you for joining us for another deep dive, factoid-filled episode exploring Hollywood's most famous monsters. I am your mistress of ceremonies, Sam, and I'm joined, as always, by Dan from Bleeding Marvelous. Say hello, Dan.
Into the fire she swallowed their hate. Hiya!
Hi! Wow.
That's a Shakespearean monologue. Yes, I was rehearsing for my next
Acting.
acting, darling.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of the Monsters of North podcast. I am once again on location. Last one, though. Back home next week. Maybe I'll be able to talk properly then, because I'm sure to God having some issues tonight with my vocabulary. So I can't even say that. So I apologise in advance. So yeah, this week, Silent Hill. They were very quiet, weren't they? Now, this is Silent Hill, the movie, not the video game, because my God, that would be a minefield to go through.
Yes, let's not do that. And let's just also clarify, this does not encompass number 2, which is standard. Silent Hill 2 rhymes with poo for a reason.
And so do you.
Yeah, it was absolute dog
I've heard
feces.
every video I watch today, it's like, we're not referencing to, because it doesn't exist.
Yeah. Revelation, or I think it was Revelation 3D or something. I mean, it might be called Retribution, but I think it was Revelation. You know, I can't remember the title of it. It was that god awful. So I'm just it had Kit Harington. That's how I remember.
Oh, that's right.
Had Kit Harington in it. So
Jon Snow to you people.
you know nothing, Jon Snow.
It had Sean Bean in too.
Yeah, the Starks took over.
Oh, they can just stay there. Anyways, I'll do the disclaimer, and then we're gonna crack on open this case file, because I am. This is going to be an episode where I am basically talked through if I like this or not, because I'm very confused. So, everything discussed in today's episode is our opinions and our opinions alone. If you'd like to discuss anything from today's episode, please come and join us on our faces, on our socials. You can join. Nearly said something very wrong there. On our socials, in the comments section, where we can have an open discussion. But what we won't have is anyone coming for us and telling us our opinions are wrong, because we can all agree to disagree in fandom. So let's keep it fun, keep it kind, and keep the toxic behavior out of nerdism.
Don't be a dick.
Simpler version.
Sure.
Opening. Case file number 87. Silent Hill. The 2006 supernatural horror directed by Christopher Gaines and written by Roger Avery, based on the video game series of the same name, published by Kamoni. Haven't been able to speak all night, but able to say that. Starring Rhoda Mitchell, Sean Bean, Laurie Holden, Deborah Cara Unga, Kim Coates, Tanya Allen, Alice Krieg, and Jodelle Furland. Once you enter Silent Hill, there is no turning back. As Monsters of North brings you Silent Hill. There was a lot of Silent Hills in that opening. I didn't think that one through.
Lots of silence. No silent. Silent Hill. Yeah, shushy.
Yeah. I didn't think that one through. Yeah, not being able to speak English all night, but able to say, come on.
All right. I know that specific brand has been marred in a level of controversy.
Oh.
I can't. I watched a YouTube video and they kept alluding to something really bad that happened there, but they never came out with what it was. So it was just like, oh, I know something bad happened there.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently it's a very troubled brand now, known as.
Oh, well, it's a good job we're not talking about
Hmm.
them in this one because we are just doing the movie.
Yes.
Full disclaimer, I have not seen this before until now, and fell asleep twice while trying to watch it. And I don't think that has any bearing on the movie whatsoever. I've just had a really shit week and I was very tired and chose the wrong time to watch it. Should have done it earlier in the day. I thought I'd like atmosphere. Like I watch it at night. Atmospheric. No, I just ended up falling asleep twice. Um so yeah, this movie is very what's the word I'm looking for? It's layered.
It's a heavy film as well. I think if you really pay attention to the subtext and all the things that are actually going on in it,
Hmm.
it is a very heavy film, and it's a very clever film, and
Hmm.
it's a very dark film and a very gory film. And I can safely say the imagery that takes place in this film, you will not find, I don't think, in a movie now. We're
No.
talking Hellraiser levels of gore, but done in a way where it's not there for the sake of it. It all has purpose for the
Yeah.
characters that are doing those things, and it all
Yeah,
makes sense. You know, it all has a place.
it
So,
does. I'm gonna be honest, it's had me thinking quite a lot. Like I've thought about this, I've thought like nothing else, but well, it's the end. The end's just got us baffled. I'm like, well, where is she? It's do you know what it is? It's American Psycho all over again.
she's silent. That's why.
She's silent. Um, I'm gonna get me little nitpicks out of the way with
All right.
because I do really want to have an education on this episode. I don't want to sit and rip it to pieces. Little nitpicks, terrible parenting. I messaged you this the other night. Terrible parenting. Um, one, you're fair enough, she's adopted, and I totally get that. But you have had incidents where this child is sleepwalking. Why would you not put preventable measures in place so she does not walk off the edge of a fucking cliff?
And why would you? Yeah. Why do you get? This is the bit that I like this film, and this
Mhm.
isn't me shitting on it. There was just a choice of why we had to see Radha Mitchell running around to the edge of a like a waterfall and look down. Is it just to demonstrate how deep it was? Because if that's the case, she's in completely the wrong place anyway. Because Sharon isn't even there; she's up somewhere else, so she's got to run around and find her somewhere else. And then she's just about to fall over the cliff, and God knows, Radha Mitchell rugby tackles her back just in the nick of time.
Just there. It's just, and my initial thought was, if she's been doing this quite a bit, why haven't you put something in place like a fucking baby gate or something, just
Put
to
a
be
lock on
able
the
to
door.
stop her from going outside?
Put a lock on the door that requires a key.
Exactly. Think, parents. My God. That's my first nitpick. My second one is Sean Bean.
Look, look. One cannot simply just walk into Silent Hill.
And choose that accent.
Correct.
Honestly, I text Dan the first attempt of watching it and was like, did he go to the Kathy Bates school of really weird voices? Because he didn't know where on earth he was. Was he
No.
Sean Bean? Was he American Sean Bean?
I, Now, this is something like I am not a connoisseur of regional accents in the US, but I've got a fair idea of what's where.
Yeah.
A Southern Louisiana slash,
A
lower
draw.
Bible Belt, New Orleans type accent. I know they're all slightly different, but general gist, a Texan, you
Mhm.
know, um a Californian and a New York and a Bostonian. We have our rough ideas of what people sound
Yeah.
like. I have no idea what someone from Ohio is supposed to sound like because in theory that's where they're supposed to be from because when he reports her car missing, he says she's got Ohio plates. Now, I know geography wise it's Eastern, I think.
Right.
I'm pretty sure it's Eastern way. So I'm guessing it's sort of you're gonna have some sort of that side of it. But I don't think that that's the accent he had. I just think it's a Yorkshireman trying to do an American accent, and that's how it come out, you know.
Just could not get my head around it. I was like, just choose one. Do Kevin Costner. Do what Kevin Costner does and just talk in your accent, regardless of where you are in the world.
Yeah.
Because if you can play such a better part just having your accent.
But they invented his character. It wasn't like he had
Yeah.
to be a specific character.
No, he wasn't like resembling anyone. He could have been anyone, but they chose that accent.
Choices were made. Choices were made.
And I don't know if they were the right choices.
Correct.
Don't get me wrong, Sean Bean. I personally believe Sean Bean does play a huge part in this. Helps you to understand. Not a huge part. That's such a bold statement, but I feel like he helps you to understand the where
The
she
sub
is to where he is.
Yeah, the subplot helps drive the main plot because you see parallels, and then you're
Yeah.
going, yeah, okay, I
Mhm.
think, yeah. So
And I'm not gonna lie, I was very in it, the scene where she's running down the hallway and he's running because he can smell her.
mm,
And I'm like, they're gonna meet up at the end, and they didn't. And the contrast and the difference between the color palette in this is absolutely spectacular.
this is the thing I don't think people realize. This was a passion project for
Oh
Christopher
yeah.
Gans. He spent 5 years from the onset of this movie, the game coming out in '99, till they managed to get the rights to make it. It took him 5 years to get them to give him any attention to even be able to make this movie. So he wanted it to be as authentic as it could be, but without copying it word for word, if that made sense. Like
Absolutely.
that's why he changed the characters. That's why Cheryl becomes Sharon. And you know, in the game, the kid's called Cheryl. I mean,
Oh
what
yeah.
the names choices are, I will never get
I
over.
mean,
But in the movie, she's Sharon, and then
that
um,
was my third gripe. Who names a child Sharon?
like then you in the game, the dad was called Harry, and it was the dad that was taking the kid
Hmm.
through everything. But they decided to make it more matriarchal because it made more sense with the way the storyline was developing to get to Christabel and all that sort of thing. They wanted to make it very matriarchal. And when they sent the rough draft over to um, the computer game people, they were like, we love it, but there's no men in this. We need some men. Hence why they wrote the subplot with Kim Coates and Sean Bean in it to try and give some sort of narrative where there was a male presence.
I didn't mind it. Like I wasn't mad at it.
No, I mean, I suppose if you took that out, there wouldn't be that level of empathy that helps you understand the parallel thing
Mm.
that happens.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. As much as I am very confused by some things, I still am very intrigued by a lot of it.
Mm.
The influence behind this movie. Now that's what I actually really interested is because it's largely influenced off Jacob's Ladder. And I get that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, right, there's been so many things where people have said, oh, Silent Hill drew its main influence from Centralia in Pennsylvania.
That's right, the real town of what Silent Hill's based off.
Misconception.
Oh, okay.
The movie was the
Mhm.
game. No, the game was snow. It wasn't ash. The
Right.
movie, when is it Roger Avery, the writer? Was it Roger?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He basically came across the story of Centralia, and he liked the idea of it. He liked the whole thing of the fire burning and people leaving and all that sort of thing. And the gist of what happened in Centralia, if I can remember, was it was a busy mining town,
Mhm.
and they used to have like annual burn-ins down in the old disused coal mines.
Get
That
rid
they
of that. It was to get rid of their rubbish. So they would
Yeah,
have
so
these to get rid of their rubbish.
yeah, so they'd have these burn-ins, and it was either one or two things. They're not entirely sure. One, they think that the fire was not extinguished properly at that point, and then it just caught on to all the existing coal that was left down there and went nuts. Or they said the other thing might have been that from when they left when they stopped mining in the 60s in there, they think what might have happened then was something was not, was not dealt with correctly when they left, and it took off in that late 60s and then just got worse and worse and worse. And the burnings obviously didn't help, but the thing about this town is now, as of 2020, there was only 5 occupants left in that village, and they've got compulsory purchase orders on there. We call them compulsory purchase orders. I don't know what they're called in America, but basically the city have said, when you die, that's ours. You know, you can't sell your property, no one will come and buy it. It's
no inheritance kind of thing.
Yeah. Which is quite sad, really. But the thing is, they said that the coal fires are set to burn for another 250 years because there's still enough coal underneath the ground for that to happen. There was an infamous thing that happened in Centralia as well with the road that goes in. It was like Route 61, I think, the I-61. There's a disused part of it, and it used to be called the Graffiti Highway, and it was incredibly famous because people would come and just spray their name on the road, and obviously no one drives down the road. Well, they did to try and get there. So what the people in 2020, when urban exploring took off, because obviously no one was allowed to go anywhere or do anything during lockdown, urban exploring became a massive thing because they were out and not in population. So to stop people going to Centralia, basically they completely covered the graffiti road with a load of mounded berms. So what used to be there it's there, but it's buried under hundreds of thousands of tons now of like great big like dirt mounds, so people can't drive down there. But they were also quite worried because the road was breaking and coming apart because of the heat from underneath. So on some days you'll be able to see the heat rising from the gaps as well in the thing. And the weird thing about that town is, though, it's still maintained.
Yeah,
it's immaculate. When you see the church, the church in the movie is loosely based off the church that's in the town. They don't look very similar, but they do. There's like a thing. They have a thing. Nowhere near the same
size. The silhouette
size.
of it is kind of the same.
The size is totally different, but the graveyard's immaculate. The grass is always cut. It's like no one. You can't. You don't see a soul when you actually go there, because obviously, technically, you're not allowed there, but technically people still live there. So it's a very strange thing. I don't really know. But it's a whole thing. But yeah, he openly admitted he wrote the script based around what he found out about that, because he felt that was far more interesting than how the game had handled however the game had handled it. So, and the misconception is that they thought that the game was based on it, and no, it wasn't. It was the movie, the game.
I did not know that. Genuinely did not know that. See, I'm here to learn. I'm here for an education. I watched a documentary on the real Silent Hill, and it was very boring. I'm not gonna lie, because there's not a great deal that happens. Like, this is what happened. This is how it happened, and we still have people live here, and that's it.
Yeah, basically that's it.
Yeah, that's absolutely it. I thought I was in for, like, there was like some weird shit going on or like spooky stuff, and nope, just a big fire that's constantly burning. I do like the fact that they went with the ash and not the snow. Way more effective, especially when it first touches her cheek.
And she's like,
I'd be fuming if I had ash on my face. What was I going to say? That's my only. They were my only gripes. And the very very minor ones, like the Sharon, naming the kid Sharon. What? Just call her something else. Don't give her don't give her a name like that.
I think the names that they gave the characters in the computer game was I want to say they were Japanese. The company, I'm 99% sure they were. It was their way of appealing to the Western audience by giving them names that they thought were popular, or someone had done a
Okay.
survey or looked into names that were very popular in the West, and that's why they went for Cheryl, Harry, because maybe they were the I don't know, the names at the time in 1999 when they released the game, when they were making the game and working out the characters, maybe they were popular at that point. But I don't know many Cheryls that were my age, put it that way. But then,
Cheryl Cole. She's exactly my age, which is a month older than us.
Cheryl Cole.
Cheryl Cole.
I end up sounding like Sarah Milligan. Cheryl Cole. I don't know why. I just go and I tend to go into a real bad Sarah Milligan, so I'm going to try not to.
I just think of Queens of Pop. Have you ever seen them two? Two drag queens, two brothers, drag queens, and they do the Cheryl Cole and Nadine Coyle song. It's absolutely fucking hilarious. Other influences in this movie was Salvador Dali.
I can get some of that with the melting, I suppose, but that's about as far as it goes for me.
Yeah. Clive Barker.
100% get that.
100%.
100%.
Barbed wire alone, 100% get that.
And the way the bodies
Yeah.
are, yeah.
Lovecraft.
I get it in the sense of like there has to be these like big scary monster type things.
Yeah.
So maybe, but not
Yeah,
really.
I don't know enough Lovecraft references to be able to say that is one. I do know the next one though, Cronenberg, David Cronenberg. Yeah,
Yeah, no, I get
yeah,
that one. Yeah.
yeah. What I did really love about this though is that there's kind of two elements going on. You've got actually three. You've got the disappearance of Sharon.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the actual what the fuck is going on here, and who are all these like weird fucking what the fuck is that with a pyramid on its head? And then you've got the cult.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, Jesus Christ, people, get a thought of your own. That was so annoying. Like I felt for Rose in that moment when she was like, "Is that all you people can do?" Like she says, "Burn the witch." You're like, "Oh yeah, let's burn the witch." Like Jesus Christ, take a step back, people.
I
Um,
think when you look at the subtext though, which we will get into, you'll understand it a bit more.
yeah,
So
yeah. Do you want to dive into the film? I think it might be a bit easier to
yeah,
go.
because I mean, really, there's not a great deal to say. Fact wise, there's a few, but like it's nothing that you can't add into it as we go, if you
As
know
we
what I
go
mean.
along.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I totally agree. I did try and have a look into the makeup side of this.
Yeah.
Not a great. I couldn't find things, or if I wasn't looking in the right places.
Well, I did find out that Sean Sansom was the key makeup artist on this one. He is. I just found out what they worked on previously because I couldn't really find out much about the making, like the making
No,
of. And I was putting it in YouTube, and it was just bringing up other things, and I was just like, I don't understand because you know what will happen now. I'll log into YouTube to watch something, and the video will pop up that I've been waiting for because that keeps happening to me lately.
Blair Witch
Yeah,
happened to me. Blair Witch one. I was watching because if you type in Silent Hill movie, you will get the movie. By the way, it is available on YouTube to watch. But when it comes down to actually people talking about just the movie, there is like a very small handful of people who do it because everyone else, and I get it, going from retrospect of the game and the movie and the intertwining them all together. But there was one guy who just did the movie, and then I'd let the next video play, and it was one of his, and it was the Blair Witch Project, and there was shit in that I didn't even know about from when we did it. So I was like, who are you? I'm saving you
yeah.
because you clearly pick up things that I didn't. Um, so yeah, there wasn't a great deal on
How they
Silent
made
Hill.
them up. Yeah, I mean, I know that Sean Sampson was famous for working on 2004's Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, Land of the Dead. He worked on 300, Repo: A Genetic Opera, Resident Evil, 2013's Carrie, The Shape of Water, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and It Part 1 and 2. That's his one of
That's
they're
good.
just the the cherry-picked ones. Rosemary Holosko also worked on Hannibal the TV series, Resident Evil, and Jigsaw. So she's got,
She's
you
doing
know,
some beautiful
she's
work.
there as well. Paul Pattinson is actually an Oscar winner for Braveheart. He worked on Braveheart.
Oh, that's a credit, isn't it?
Yeah, he won an Oscar for the makeup on that. But he most recently has done Mad Max Fury Road, and he worked with friend of the show, Neil Marshall, on Hillboy.
Wow.
And he worked on TV's Farscape. Now, not a lot of people remember Farscape, but Farscape came out in the middle of like the Firefly Star Trek resurgence, and it's a Jim Henson. I think there was some I want to say Jim Henson provided the puppets for it and things like that, but it isn't all puppets. There's people. It's a whole big thing. I think it was only like a one series, like Firefly situation where it got cancelled after a series or two. But yeah, Farscape. He did all of the makeup on that, and he, like I said, Oscar winner. So he was an Oscar winner going into this because Braveheart was 90s. So yeah, so he's going into this from Braveheart with an Oscar, doing this, going into gore and whatever else, and the condom man and the pyramid head and all that sort of stuff. So.
There is some beautiful work in this, mind. But what really threw me, and I don't know if this is, I don't know if I would be saying the same thing if I watched it in my own house. I'm watching television at the moment, like I'm sitting out in a different fucking dimension because I cannot see my mother's telly. But a lot of it felt like, is it makeup? Is it CGI?
I want the characters themselves, except for the grey children. There was one or two grey children that were played by actors to help along.
You could tell. You could tell there was something behind it. It wasn't that wasn't all CGI. And I'm not saying like it was all CGI. There's something there. It's just I don't know because of what I couldn't see properly. I couldn't say for sure, oh, that was a CGI job over the top of that.
Mainly the backgrounds, and when the air raid siren will go off and you got the change in the venue would go from not clean but like abandoned weird to the air raid siren going off and all hell breaks loose. The transition was all CGI, but he wanted to keep a similar transition that happened in the games to keep it as fluid as it would have if it was to have happened in the game. So
there was some part of this that felt that I was literally watching a cutscene from a video game. There was shots there that looked like something out of a video game promo. Especially her walking down the street, like when it's just her in the street. Love the fact that it's silent as well. Music that was used in this was taken out of the video game, apart from one song, which was Johnny Cash's "Ring of Fire." But everything else was to give you the feel of the video game because for all the people like I've heard when I've watched videos today, and I've watched a couple because there is a couple out there. There's nothing but love for this movie. This was genuinely a love letter to Silent Hill from a person who genuinely had, a strong connection to it.
I mean, they had a big budget for this movie, considering it was 2006. Was it 2006? I said, yeah. I think they had, $50 million to make this in 2006. So I would say a large percentage of that went on the special effects for all the transitions, and I'm guessing they got a lot of the computer game guys on for the CGI aspects because it does look very at the time similar, whatever. I'm guessing that. I'm like I said, I haven't fact checked that, so but there's a whole thing where you can see, that's when you see the game's influence in the CGI sort of stylings. But they actually made at the box office 100 million, so they doubled their doubled their profit. But I will say doubled their profit. They doubled it anyway. Rotten Tomatoes though saw it as a flop, and Roger Ebert only gives it 1.5 on his review style because he hated it so much. The problem I find with people like Roger Ebert is he's just a man giving his opinion. Why people take so much stock in what he has to say? I could sit and watch film after film after film and have a podcast about reviewing films, and I don't expect one person to give a shit about what I say. Do you know what I mean? It's like I'm very aware that I am probably the only. I'm very aware that I'm the only person that might think these things. I don't expect everybody to agree with me. You know, I
Yeah.
can walk into a movie and go, oh, that was like a dog turd, and the person sat next to me, like Rob, could turn around and go, actually, I really like that, and I'd be like, huh,
Yeah.
why? And then he'll go blah blah, blah and I'll go, ah.
Yeah, it's called having a conversation, difference of opinions. I really do not like that man at all. But it doesn't matter because he's dead.
Yeah, true.
But you are
Holds no
right
weight
though.
now.
Exactly. But you are right though. These people far too much in them to be like, well, I don't like this, so you're not going to like this. So that's going to have a complete effect. Like the rating on this is terrible. However, the audience review is 100%.
Yeah, so I don't understand. You know, I am not someone who looks at letterbox scores or Rotten Tomato scores or anything like that. If I want to watch a film, I'll watch it. Sometimes I get a bit bamboozled, like when you're going through Shudder and you see these fantastic front pieces, like the artwork, and you go, oh,
Yeah,
click
I've
on it,
been
and
duped by
in
them
the first
before.
10 minutes, it's been videoed on a DV cam in someone's back garden. And you're like, sometimes those can turn out to be good, but I don't have the patience for them. I can't.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
No, I get that. Well done, Shudder. I was going to say something, and my brain's just gone completely smelted. What is wrong with me today?
Well, the beginning of this movie is weird. Like we've covered already, we've established
Oh
Sharon
yeah,
sleepwalks. She is saved by
mother
Rose. I can't remember Sean Bean's character's name.
Christopher.
Christopher, that's it. And saved by. Do you know what gets me right? This is the bit, right? And I even brought this up with Rob. I'd never noticed before. She's in her pajamas, charging after a kid that's about to jump off like a cliff. And when he runs out of the house, the first bit with her, he's only wearing his boxers and a t-shirt. By the time he finds them, and she's just saved her, he's in full cord slacks, a t-shirt. He went back in to get changed before he thought about running
Yep.
after this kid. And I'm just like,
Parenting
I think
choices.
we've established the whole situation here, have we not?
Yeah, parenting choices. Some weird ones. Um, but this is when because this isn't the first time she's done this,
No.
and she starts screaming the name Silent Hill. Silent Hill, Silent Hill. Which obviously is see, I wish they laid a bit more groundwork on this bit because she obviously has been going through this for a while, and when she finally decides to leave to go to this place that her daughter has been screaming about, she's been doing investigation work behind the scenes
Yeah.
because Sean Bean is like, have you actually read the stuff that you've been looking at? Like, have you read it properly? Like, and I was like, oh, if they could just like lay that up like just a little bit more, but that's just, me being
To be
picky.
fair, it was Windows XP that they were looking at everything on. So it would have taken them an hour to load that up on dial-up.
I genuinely thought he was going to do a dad move with the keyboard. Like, as my dad, how he types on a keyboard is one finger. One finger. But he's always, I was like, I couldn't do that. And he's like, well, how many mistakes do you make when you type fast? And I was like, quite a few. And he's like, do you know how many I make? None. All right there, Michael. Yeah, so where are we? Silent Hill.
Yeah, so she makes a choice and she says to Alyssa, not Alyssa, she says to Sharon,
Hmm.
we're going to go to Silent Hill, and she says she doesn't say much. She's just a very whiny little child at this point. And I understand she's supposed to be 9, I
Yeah,
think.
she's a kid. Like
So,
she's
but oh, she's annoying. Um, and then so she absconds with Sharon in the car. Rose and Sharon are off on their little joyride to Silent Hill. And then you've got
Laurie Holden.
Yeah, she passes them and looks at them, but there's not, there's like a passing glance at the gas station. Am I right? Is it that bit?
So yeah, so the gas station, this is where Sean Bean cuts the card off, which
Mm.
is fucking ridiculous. How am I going to get you to come back? I'll cut your funds off.
He's a
So you'll
toxic bastard,
stop.
is what he is
Yeah,
in this.
that's
Yeah.
a really toxic trait.
Leave you with
Um,
no money, so you're absolutely fucked.
so you're gonna have to come back. You're gonna have
You'll
to.
have
But
to ring me on your Sony Ericsson that you have around your neck or your Nokia.
wow,
I
she
don't
wore
really
it
one of
like
those.
she wore it like a necklace. Yeah. So
Play Snake on that motherfucker.
it's like my uncle has the first ever iPhone, still to this day, still has it. And do you know how he's kept it preserved? Because he keeps it in a baggie. It never comes out of the baggie. And it's completely fine. It works totally fine. Yeah, the thing around our neck, Jesus. Yeah, so Laurie Holden, who plays the police officer, I'm just going to use our real name because I can't remember.
Sybil.
Sybil, that's it. Looks fucking fantastic in that police outfit, by the way.
She
She
actually cried when she found out she had to cut her hair, though.
she didn't. That's the thing. Like I understand the look that we're going for is very much of a video game style police officer. I totally get that. You did not have to cut that girl's hair. You didn't.
Yeah, she got really upset when she found out she had to
Oh,
cut it. But
I
then
don't blame her.
there wasn't long between when this film came out and Walking Dead
Walking Dead.
started, if I
Yep.
remember rightly.
Yeah, and
Wasn't long.
she plays
So
Andrea in Walking Dead.
Andrea, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Love Andrea in the comics.
hated her in the
Hated
TV.
her in the TV show. Laurie Holden did her job though because she really made me hate her. But I love Andrea in the comics. Um, or did. I haven't read the comics in absolutely years, so I can't even remember where she is or if she is in. I can't remember. Don't come for me, people. Yeah, so she looked phenomenal in that police outfit. Like every curve was just absolutely spot on. Like made me question a lot, but I was like, hey, we move. Um, what? It's when they're at the petrol station
Hmm.
and she says something like to Sharon, "Are you all right?" And she just looks at her and it's quite snotty. She goes, "I'm not supposed to talk to strangers."
Mm.
And she's like, "Good call." Like, okay. But then Mom Rose is a bit off with that too, and it kind of like sets her, hmm, well, what's going on? I mean, she was a bit of a nosy Parker, to be honest.
She was a bit too suspicious. It's just a woman with a child. I don't really understand why her back had got up about it. It
Yeah,
wasn't like she was acting weird with her either. It wasn't like Rose's and Sharon's interaction when they were outside was strange. She was just
no,
cuddling a kid. Then she got in the car. And it was just like, why is that weird? I don't understand what would make you suspicious about that. It was,
she was like, well, she even says later on, I was just with my daughter. She's like, how do I know that's your kid?
I get that, but
But
you wouldn't
then
interact like
fucking
that
have
if
a
you've been.
conversation with someone, you're a police officer.
And if you've kidnapped a kid, the kid wouldn't be giving you a cuddle or showing you her drawings or any of that. I think the bit that might have got her suspicions up, when she's going through the drawings and she shows Sharon the drawings and Sharon's standing there and she's going, I didn't do that, mummy. I didn't draw that, mummy. Because she's
Hmm.
obviously gone over it, like all her nice pictures with really dark crayon.
Yeah,
And
she
I can
freaked
only
out.
think it was that bit that put a bit more suspicion in so that she followed them.
She did. I mean, she probably regrets that decision given what happens to her, but yeah, she does follow them. Um, that in the car when they're driving to Silent Hill,
Mm.
that is eerie. Like I know it's so basic, but it's so eerie because there's nothing but just them two in the car.
Mm.
Do you know what it reminds me of? House on Haunted Hill, or the Haunted Hill House. Haunted Hill House, where they're in the car, and Nell comes out between the two of them, and I'm just waiting, anticipating that something is going to happen in this car, and then all of a sudden someone walks out in front of it,
Mm.
and then
She
Sharon disappears.
Yeah, well, it's the cutscene from what looks like a normal road, normal night lights, normal
Mm.
night on a road. And then it cuts to her waking up and it's thick fog. You see sort of snow. The
Oh, wait,
kids,
snow.
yeah, well, yeah. the kids exited the car because kids are shits, clearly. I mean, she didn't even try and wake her mum up. She just pegged it out of the vehicle. Yeah, I mean, I'm like, that's nice. Well done.
Ta-ta, pet.
Yeah, see, it did not make any sense whatsoever, that bit. I always thought to myself, why? Why? If you're a kid and you're petrified,
Yeah,
but
we're just normal,
movie
I guess.
magic, yeah. Then she sort of comes around and she's looking really confused. And she slowly walks into town before she meets Sybil, doesn't she? So she goes into town the first time and she has a quick walk down the main street and then
Yeah.
she goes, right, yeah, I'm trying to remember the order of this. She goes into the main street and you see this abandoned high street. She realizes it's this ash, not snow at that point.
That's right. This is where, because she has seen a person who resembles Sharon. So
Yes.
when she's running, she is genuinely running after who she thinks is Sharon.
Yeah, even though Sharon wasn't wearing a purple dress at that point, apparently Sharon is now wearing a purple dress because
Why
she had
not?
a, why not?
But we don't know we don't know what her eyesight's like. Could be like mine. Absolutely shocking. So she don't know what she's seeing, but yeah, she is chasing something that resembles
Mm.
Sharon. Oh my God, if she didn't shout Sharon once, she shouted it 1,000 times, and it's like, bitch, she's not gonna just magically appear after you've done it thousands of times. And of it, you don't know where you are.
Mm-hmm.
You're drawing attention to yourself.
Yes, see, that is one of my biggest bugbears in movies when
Mm-hmm.
they write someone in that does that because you don't know anything. You don't know what the hell is going on, mainly because, firstly, it's abandoned. Secondly, there is ash raining down on you. Like
Didn't
there's a
question that.
fallout, a volcano somewhere has exploded. You got no idea what the hell's going on. Your daughter's run away. It's very confusing. Her phone wasn't working. It's like I don't really understand. But stop screaming and bringing attention to yourself because you could attract something you don't want to see. And I'm not talking about like movie monsters at this point. I'm talking about a bunch of weird hillbilly rednecks that might be patrolling the street. You don't know. You don't know
No,
what's
no.
out.
You got absolutely no idea whatsoever. But she doesn't find her. But what she does find is Deputy Civil. I don't know if she's a
Well, no,
deputy.
she sees she follows Alyssa down into the
That's
stairwell
right.
where
Sorry, she encounters something first, doesn't she?
yeah, the air raid siren goes off as she's in the stairwell and she doesn't understand what's happening. And I wouldn't understand what was happening, to be fair. And it just goes pitch
I
dark. And
didn't understand what was happening.
yeah, basically the air raid siren goes off and it's the way of telling everybody to get into safety,
Yeah,
get
because
into
it's going to change.
hide. And then you see all like the paint peeling off the walls, and she just goes in the building because she's obviously not got a clue what's happening. She goes through and into that schoolyard, and then there's like all the grey baby
Yeah.
children things that start, like you can see them, but she can't quite see them. And she looks up and sees that person who's alive that's in the boiler suit, but seems to have no bottom half. Well, it's got bottom half, but it's all mangled.
It does come out after her because this is, oh gosh, what's his name? This is, I've just had it not long ago. Roberto Campanella.
Yeah, the guy who choreographed absolutely every monster. He played every monster, and he was also the head choreographer of every one of them. He's a dancer by trade, so
Yeah.
he was choreographing all the nurses, or any of the monsters. He was the monster man, wasn't he, on this?
He also wore 15-inch heels to make him 7 foot tall because he plays Pyramid Head as well. Just take my hat off to that moment because I can't even wear a 1-inch heel.
And he went stark bollock naked under that apron, so the arse you see is his arse. You get a back shot. He is wearing nothing.
Excellent.
And I think that explains why a lot of the gay community have a big stand for him because he has a bubble butt.
Like,
And
that explains quite a bit.
I never really understood why like there was a huge like thing, and then like when I started looking into this and I found out that he went completely nude underneath his like the big apron that you see. And then the narrator of the video was like, and this is why he's big in the gay community. That makes perfect sense now.
Aesthetically, probably one of the most pleasing things that I saw in this movie, apart from the end scene, I'm gonna say I thought was beautiful. But
Mhm.
pyramid head, I just thought it was so aesthetic. I was like, how has there not been like more, not just merch, but like more stuff done on this character? There's so much that you can like dive into, and there probably has, and there's probably somebody screaming at us saying, "Well, we do this," but I don't think.
Gameplay. It's all gameplay. It's not. There's nothing.
Oh,
They were going to expand on it going into. They were hoping to make 2 or 3 movies,
mm-hmm.
but Christopher couldn't be the director for the second movie, hence why it's absolute trash. And then that canned
The
the
third one.
movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got she comes across that guy who's hanging off of who's been like barbed wired to the fence, and there's all the little
Is this
grey children.
Cullen?
No,
No,
this
this
is
is
one
someone
of
different.
the cult members. You know, they put them in them weird boiler mining suits.
Oh, yes,
He's
yes.
literally like barbed wired onto the fence, and all the grey kids are like coming around her, and she's screaming her head off, and she starts running back. You see her running back to the car, tries to start the car, and then that's when Sybil puts the gun in her face and is like, "Get out the car!" and starts treating her like a criminal and throws her over the boot and then puts her in handcuffs. I'm like, I don't understand why you're doing that right now. I'm very
Oh,
confused.
well, one, ask the question, where is your child?
No,
No, she
no,
didn't do that. I tell you what, though, Laurie Holden does have the best voice for a police officer.
very authoritative.
Oh my God, I would stop in an instant. Um, I was highly attracted to this woman in this movie, by the way, and I am very straight, but I questioned myself quite a lot. Yeah, ask the question why your child's not there. I understand that she drove away from her when she put her sirens on,
Hmm.
but does it really warrant her being hauled? Like, look where you are. Look at your surroundings. You
Hmm.
have ash falling on you for fuck's sake.
Yes.
Um,
And she's saying to you, we need to get out of here. We need to get out of here.
Also something happens to her head as well.
She smacks her head on the floor because her bike.
Yeah, but something happened when I was watching that video today. They were saying how her blood was changing.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I don't think we do. I don't think
No,
we. I don't think we do see it. But I think like she kind of holds her head in
she
some
does.
way.
She goes like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I saw. But it like she cut her
Doesn't
head.
doesn't explain it.
No.
Um, I love how Rose got out of the not out of the handcuffs, but how she kind of like just because she's running after she escaped because something happens, doesn't it? It's like, but you don't see anything.
Yes, no, what happens is her and Sybil are going to walk back into Silent Hill because for some reason Sybil's got this obsession with wanting to go back in there. And she's like, I don't want to go, don't make me do it. And she's like, shut up and keep moving. And as they start to go, you see the meat condom guy with no arms
That's right.
in a completely strange latex suit, spitting oil and acid all over the floor as he sort
Right,
of
because it gets a helmet, doesn't it?
yeah, and he's sort of like lumbering towards her. And then he just pukes all that acid on her and she throws the helmet off and you see the helmet sort of start to like disintegrate.
Yeah.
And they it's got no features. There's no face, there's
Mm-mm.
no arms. There's ribs, there's a head, and there's legs. And that was also played by Roberto. Um so that was like a if you're telling me she's just said to you, don't go in there. We need to leave.
Yep.
They do walk and find a massive crater. I will say that. They do walk back and they find that there is a huge, great big crater, which they do not question very heavily at all. And so they turn around and walk into the town.
But
And
doesn't
then they
it look
see
like they're
this.
being turned around as well?
It does look
Yeah.
very like, you're like, eh? But as they, I mean, it's obviously an illusion, but like as they walk into town, they get faced with the meat dude, and I think she shoots him. I can't remember. He goes down anyway.
She
Uh,
likes a gun. She's very much shooty McShoot shoot.
yeah, and then they go back into town, and she manages to escape from Sybil. Then, or is it a
She
bit later?
No, she gets away. She gets away from her pretty quickly. I mean,
Yeah.
don't get us wrong, she catches up with her pretty quickly, but it's the way that she's running along with the handcuffs behind her back, and then
Mm.
she just stops and is like, okay, and then just kind of steps over her own arms, and it's like, I love that.
I
Quick
think,
thinking, Rose. Very
yeah,
quick thinking.
and also her following the bus route to
Yeah,
find out where places were. I thought that was very clever because that's not something I would naturally think of
no,
doing, I
no.
wouldn't, but then our bus, we don't have things like that on our bus timetables. We just have 4 o'clock, this stop. We don't have like the route planned.
Oh, you're up to date. I live in the oldie times where we have bus, the timetables, but you
Yeah,
can't
that's
go
what I'm
on an
saying.
app to tell you where your bus is.
There's no, what I'm saying is, like it showed you the route on all the bus maps. Like it showed you the
Oh
route
yeah,
and yeah, we don't have that over here. It's like you get this street, this stop, 4 o'clock, Peterborough bus, 10 minutes. You get that kind of, we
yeah.
have the flashy signs and stuff, but that's it. And yeah, so I thought that was pretty clever, but I still
Mhm.
didn't know what she was actually looking for.
No, I don't think she did either. She's just looking. She's just frantic at this point. Like she all she wants is a child and to get out of here. Um, in the meantime, Christopher Sean Bean is decided to go and look for them, but is stopped by honestly, is this a name in the game? Thomas Gucci, or is this
He's
another
not
made
in the
up
game.
character?
He's a made-up character. All the males
Did you have to call him Gucci? Thomas Gucci,
yeah, apparently
Detective
so.
Thomas Gucci,
Who grew up in Silent Hill.
who got out. That's the difference. He got out of Silent Hill, but he did grow up there, and he's there waiting, ready to take Sean Bean into Silent Hill, but it's not the same because this is how brilliant the color palette is in this movie is that when you're with Sean Bean and the officer in Silent Hill, the color palette is totally different. It's
It's
sunny.
pissing it down or it's sunny. They're the
Yeah,
two sort of options you have in Sean Bean's land.
but it's bright as well.
Mm.
In hers, it's
Grayscale.
grey, completely grey.
Mm.
And it's brilliant the contrast between the two. So yeah, he goes there and that's when they have their encounter.
Yeah, she ends up running to the school, if I'm right, and this is where we find out because she's still handcuffed when she meets Colin.
Yes, and she's also still handcuffed when she meets, or is she? Because it's not long when she meets up with Sybil again that we encounter Pyramid Head.
Sybil is slightly after Colin. Colin is her first introduction because she follows who she thinks is Sharon, which is
Hmm.
actually Alyssa. She's following her into the bathroom, and she thinks she's in one of the stores because she can hear the crying.
Yeah.
So she's like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll look after you. Da da da. Everything's fine." And then she opens the stall and sees the janitor Colin in one of the most hideous positions. Like he's completely bent around, so his feet are by his head. So he's like a complete O, if you know what I
Yeah.
mean. Like,
Hmm.
but he's kept together with barbed wire. He's got no eyes because the barbed wire is ripping through that part of his body. So this is where it gets Hellraiser-y, Clive Barker-y,
Yes.
the imagery you
Exactly
get
what
there.
yeah, exactly what I was thinking. Didn't even have to tell us that Clive Barker was an influence in this because
Yeah,
just the barbed wire alone
yeah. And
screams it.
there's a thing on the wall that says dare you, double dare you, or something like that, and she is pointing down to his mouth because his mouth's open. So
Yeah.
not on your fucking life would I be putting my hands in that man's mouth,
No.
regardless of whether I knew whether he's dead or alive. No, I would be, see ya, I'm out. But no, she decides to put her hand in the mouth because there's obviously something she sees, and it ends up being the hotel, like a clue for the hotel.
Hmm.
So she puts that in her pocket, and then the siren starts to go off, the air raid siren again, and Colin breaks free and starts sort of slithering on his hands. There's not a better word for it. I really don't think there is, but he's like crawling and slithering towards her.
Very contortiony as well, isn't it? It's like twists
Yeah.
and turns and yeah.
And he's doing that weird thing where he's going, I always think of Kingpin, Lin Shay and Kingpin, you know, that blah, 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 because he's doing that thing with his tongue. And, you know, like she does it to Woody Harrelson. I always think of that. So when he was doing, it just made me laugh when he's like going towards her and he's doing it at her, you know. I was just like,
I
oh,
don't think that was a desired effect though.
no. But we call him Colin because that's on his name tag. His name tag is Colin on his
Yeah.
janitorial shirt as he's going towards her. I'd like to know how he got released, but I mean, obviously that's a whole thing for the Alyssa storyline. But
Yeah.
he ends up coming towards her, and then there's all these bugs come out of nowhere, and she manages to get out of the room by just running, and she then bumps into Sybil, and no, she then goes out into the courtyard with all the bugs, and this is where she sees Pyramid Head for the first time.
Yes, because there's something between them. Because Pyramid Head's trying because that's it. They put this
Minus.
yeah, that's right.
Mm.
And they get behind the door to where they're able to lock it, but Pyramid Head just fucking
Puts that big Japanese sword.
oh my god! See, this is what I mean.
The anime size sword through
yeah,
the
it's ridiculous, but brilliant at the same time. Like the aesthetic of this character, how there's not been any spin-offs or just like more elaborate stuff on this character because it's crazy because the way that they look is amazing. And that sword, and obviously just he only uses it once and then he drops it and then he doesn't drop it, but like he decides to use other means to get to them, but he doesn't. I mean, she does shoot him, bloody shooting McGavin over there, does shoot his hand, and even that effect with a gunshot going in the hand, that was pretty spectacular.
Mm. He I think they do elaborate about him because he technically wasn't in the first game. He was in the second game.
Yeah.
So from second game onwards, I think he was a regular character within the game. So I'm sure they might have elaborated on him at some point in there, but I don't know. I didn't want to go down that rabbit hole with the game. So
No. They did want to use more though.
Mhm.
They did want to use more pyramid heads in this movie. They wanted to use 6 in total, but it was just very overwhelming.
Yeah.
Cost as well.
Yeah. I think what they did end up with at the end was more effective than 6 of them, though.
100%. Just that one alone, just knowing that one's out there. No, fuck
Yeah.
that.
No, you can, and they then run to the hotel, don't they? And this is where they encounter the first person that they've seen, which is one of the constituents of Christabel. So I think it was Christabel's daughter, or she was one of the people in her cult.
Is this not Alyssa's mother? Because we meet her.
We meet her first, don't we?
We meet her first because the actress who plays her is someone who I've always thought is incredibly striking. She has one of those faces where it's like, oh, hello, what's her name?
Deborah
Gloria.
Ann Hunger.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. God, she was in a film with was it Halle Berry? Oh, I can't remember what it's called, but honestly, I just there's something about her face. It's just very striking, and it is very hard to understand anything that she's saying. Like even people who I watched today were saying they've had to watch subtitles when she's on to actually pick up what she's saying. But it's all done on purpose.
Mm.
It's to show that she's not strong. She's incredibly weak will. She's been broken, so she's not going to have the strongest voice. So the actress chose very well in how she spoke, but to us, it's very difficult.
Mm. Yeah, they did a good job with that. But then you come across no, they go into the hotel and they see the drawing is put into the 111 room.
That's right. So they're going to look for room 111.
and then I go blank until oh God.
Yeah. This movie is very layered, by the way, and it can be quite complicated.
Yeah, they go into room one. They find it behind a secret wall, don't they? Room 111.
Yes, that's it. She just so this is where they start to get the story of Alyssa,
Hmm.
and they start to get the story of the cult and the witch burning. And that's how she finds 111 is because it's behind a painting of a burning witch. How she figured that out,
Um,
I don't know.
but apparently the 111 was a callback to the amount of people that lost their life in the Centralia fire.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Um, but
So it's behind fire. Oh, okay.
but then they go running to the church because they find the constituent, and they go running to the church because the air raid siren goes off, and the girl tells her, "You need to get to safety. You need to get to safety." So they run to the church,
Yeah.
and this is where you actually realize that there's actually a lot of people that have been hiding in plain sight because they
Hmm.
could all come running through the graveyard, and up into the church. And the church is one of the most imposing buildings. I
Yeah.
think it's quite um, a clinical church.
Hmm.
It For us as Brits, churches for us are architecture. They are of their time, which is usually 1,000 or 800 years old. Churches are probably some of the oldest standing buildings to this
Yeah.
day in in and
No,
around the UK. And
I know the ones in Shiny On, but the one where Anth lives was built in the back end of the 1800s.
but then you've got like I say, you look at some of these ones that are from like the 15, 1600s, and for me, church looks like that. Steeples, they have a very a typical church look for us in the UK. So when you see this, it looks more like a Scientology building than it does like a church. But you can understand that you expect to go in there and see Joel Osteen, preaching and trying to take money off people rather than
Yeah.
like a traditional church.
Oh,
But
yeah.
when they go in, we're then introduced to the amount of people. No, we're not introduced. They get to go in the door, and Pyramid Head appears and grabs the girl that they found on the stairs. They found in the hotel, and he rips her clothes off, and then Pyramid Head completely degloves her from head to toe and throws her skin away, and they get
Really.
absolutely covered in blood.
Yep.
Um, and then I think he throws her at the door just as they shut the door.
Yep.
So I do know that Rada Mitchell had 200 costume changes
Really?
in this. Yeah, I mean, again, I found this quite a few times, but whether it's true or not, it's one of those things that came across quite a lot. She had 200 different versions of her costume as it progressively went from beautiful white and flowing at the beginning
Mm.
to pure, just red stained nonsense by the
Oh, it
end.
was dirt by the end.
Yeah, so there was 200 variations of her costume by the time she left. So it was insanity. But yeah, so she's blood splat at this point, and you're introduced to Christabel, who is the matriarch, the captain of the weird ship that they're all been
Well,
on. She's
the,
a
the way she's described here is the fanatical, sadistic, and delusional high priestess of the Brethren.
I completely agree with that because she is a woman who seeks power
Oh,
and
yeah, she's
dominion over everybody,
yeah,
but and rules with fear and not compassion.
absolutely. Because she's
So
all she wants to do is burn the witches to make sure the apocalypse doesn't happen, and it's like coming to the point where it's like, just let it happen, let it happen.
there's only like 30 of you left. I mean, you're not going to live much longer, the lot of you, because you're
Yeah,
breathing in that shit all the time. So
basically telling everyone to stop living a sinful life while she's doing the worst sin of them all by burning innocent people and
she's,
claiming them to be witches for our own gain.
yeah. So she's, right. For those of you that are Trekkies, she is the Borg Queen. Alice Krieg plays the Borg Queen, right?
I right, I see it now. Yes, I
Yeah.
have actually seen this film, by the way. Just want to put that out there. Watched it
Alice
not long
Krieg
ago.
is also at HorrorCon Sheffield this year. So, if you want
Yeah.
to come, yeah, she's there. I always joke that when I get up in the mornings, I look like Christabel. You know, the way she has her hair all sort of up and she looks like a crazy person. That's how I look in the mornings. Um, less like I want to burn a witch, but more like my hair looks like that. But you're introduced to her and you get a quick idea, you get a very quick introduction to how they all listen to every word that comes out of her mouth and how
Everything.
she is the do as I say kind.
What as I do.
And she then introduces them to the fact that this is the church, we're here, it's our safe haven, everything will be fine whilst we're here. But if you want to go find your daughter, we will help you find your daughter. And then she finds her locket on the stairs and takes one look at the child and realizes it's Sharon is the spit of Alyssa. And she then, you can see, then she's like, right, I'm going to feed you to the belly of the beast. You're going to go down and get eaten because you need to be done with. I'm going to feed you to the city. I don't know what else you call it. So they go to the hotel. They then, from the hotel, they work their way because she tells her to memorize the map, doesn't she? She's
Left,
like,
right, left, right.
and
left,
Laurie Holden Sybil keeps saying, stop doing this, and she's like, I've got to do it. And so as they heading towards the lift, this is where Laurie Holden Sybil gets the ever-loving shit kicked out of her by the miners with the lead pipes. Now, bear in mind, the lead pipe is the very first weapon used in the computer game. So it's like the most common weapon from the game.
Yeah.
Hence why they beat her 10 bells from
they
next
absolutely rip her a new one.
And then she throws her in the lift to go find her. And
yes, she does, doesn't she? They've kind of like created a bond at this point.
And she throws her in the lift, and the lift then goes down into the bowels of hell.
Like literally falls into the bowels of hell. Like,
yeah. How big is this hotel, firstly?
Yeah.
And she gets off, she does what she's going to do, and she goes into this room that is melted, for want of a better word. It's vile, and there's like this tent thing set up in the middle of the room around a bed.
Yeah.
Which should look like it should be an oxygen type tent.
Yeah.
It's not. It's rotted and fucked. But then there's a pristine nurse.
You don't see her face straight away though, do you? It's just the back of her hair, but you can see she's got like immaculate hair and the figure and
Lean as a whistle.
Yeah.
Very does not stand out. It stands out too much because she doesn't fit in with the decor, shall we say. And this is where we get to find out the story.
Really liked how they did this. Once again, it felt like a cutscene from a video game. So very much liked it. This is where you find out about Alyssa's story. And I'm going to give Dan the pleasure of reliving it.
Well, because this is where Dark Alyssa comes in, the little girl, the 9-year-old girl she's been chasing around everywhere. She's had a few interactions with her here and there, but this is where she's like, the little girl's like, you don't want to look in there. You don't want to see what's behind that. We're here because of this, that, and the other. But I'm going to show you what you need to see. And so basically, Alyssa does the cutscene with Rose. And what happens is, they explained that when Alyssa was a small child, she was impregnated by a dirty old fucker called Colin, the janitor. And she, bearing in mind she was 9 when she was impregnated, and she had to take her baby to the orphanage. And her mum put her head in the sand, and Christabel, who happens to be her auntie, made her give the baby up for adoption. So she puts Sharon on the steps of the orphanage. And Alyssa then goes back to Silent Hill, and continues to live her life until she's about, technically they reckon she would have been about 39 at this point.
Right.
Alyssa. So the Alyssa you see in the bed is the Alyssa that they burnt. So Yeah, and then you've got the little girl Alyssa. So they're two parts of the same. They're fractured
Yeah.
parts of the same person. So her soul split. So you have the 9-year-old dark Alyssa, and then you have the burn. Doesn't have her own voice, can't move, is the product of what Christabel made.
Yeah.
And so you get Rose gets this overwhelming kind of like empathy for the Alyssa in the bed, but knows there's something funky with the dark Alyssa manifestation. She knows there's something up with that Alyssa because that Alyssa is like talks in the third person. She's talking like she's a demon rather than she's
Yeah.
like
The rage split her soul in like
mm,
apart, basically. So there was two versions of her.
mm,
Because how it's put to Dahlia, who is Alyssa's mother, who is the lady who you can't make out what you're saying, is that they basically want to purify her after what had happened with
yeah,
fucking creepy
Colin,
Colin.
yeah.
As part of a ritual, basically, way to stop the apocalypse happening is let's purify and bloody burn the kids. But yeah, you get to see it all as well, like play out.
This was the question for me. When you see the cut scene, you see the mum cuddling Alyssa, and then you
Hmm.
see Christabel coming in, and you see that Christabel is the headmistress of the school
Yeah.
at the time. And it's like, so did she know all about it and was she letting it happen? That was
Woman
always
of
my
many
thought.
jobs.
Yeah, that was my thought. It wasn't a problem till it was a problem.
Well, yeah, until it becomes her problem.
And her problem was when her niece became pregnant at 9 with a the subtext of this movie, I tell you, is absolutely insane because a 9-year-old getting sexually assaulted, impregnated by a janitor, and at 9, I keep going back to 9. We're not talking teenagers, not even that makes it any better, but 9.
Mhm.
And then being forced to give up the child that she was forced to birth and bring to term at 9. No wonder she disassociated and completely fractured herself into many
Yeah.
pieces
Well,
because
it's how your brain possibly, it can actually happen. You can split your brain into two where, one side of you just could completely forget about it and the other side can kind of make you function a bit. There's
compartmentalized.
realization. Yes.
Yeah.
Heard
But
that word quite a few times in my time.
but yeah, I mean, it's a horrific subject matter to build an entire
It's
game around. Like, I'm presuming
yeah.
I'm presuming the law is very similar in the game. I don't know. I don't know whether this was just specific to the movie or this is actually law from the game. I that's the bit I don't know. I didn't want to start Google searching that in case
You
the
go
police ever
down that
looked at my history.
yeah,
Um,
you go down that rabbit hole.
I
Bloody
have
hell.
I have to draw a line with what I Google. Thank you. And that's that.
Yeah, I'm
But
not having people looking at me bloody Google search list. They'll be
mm-mm.
asking a lot of questions when it comes down to why do you, Google a lot of death.
But yeah, so then she gets snapped out of it and she realizes that she's been duped into going there to die. Like, well, she realized when she was with Sybil, but more so when she was down there because she thought that Dark Alyssa would kill her. She thought,
She genuinely thought it was Sharon. Like, she did really think that was her daughter down
hmm,
there, and it's not. But what she does do is allow Alyssa to come with her.
yeah, because she can't get into the church. Dark
Hmm.
Alyssa cannot enter the church because she is not pure, she's not clean.
She's
So the
not
only
been
way,
purified.
yeah, exactly. So the only way that 9-year-old Alyssa can get in the church is by being inside
Loved how they did this.
Rose's body. So
Loved
Rose
it.
is the conduit, shall we say,
Yeah.
for Alyssa, the vehicle for Alyssa getting into the church.
Loved how she gave her a cuddle and she just then it's like she knew what she was doing. She just kind of like pushes her in. I love it. I loved it. And I don't do body modification horror or anything like that. I love that.
It was ever so cleverly done. When she gets back to the church and the look on Christabella's face to realize that she had actually firstly made it, she'd
Yep.
survived, and she thought she'd sent her to certain death. Certain death. Dun dun dun.
Uh,
She looked really surprised, but then she was like, she must be a witch. She
oh,
survived.
instantly it's like
Witch, witch, you're a witch.
witch,
Witch,
yeah.
witch, you're a
It's like
witch.
She doesn't get her own way. The first thing she says is, "Well, you're a witch. You got to burn." But in the church, poor Laurie Holden.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I hate this. I hated it. I hated how it was uncomfortable to watch. Don't like it because it was like they could have done a amount of anything to her while she was tied to a top of a ladder that was actually above a fire pit.
Mm-hmm.
Don't like it. And also, she would have died of the smoke inhalation first before she
And
would
all
have
of
died
her
of that.
larynx and everything would have been burnt to a
Yeah.
crisp. She wouldn't have been able to scream or shout.
No.
We're looking
But
into specifics, but movie magic.
movie magic and the effect of it paid off. It was
Yeah.
it was a hard watch. It was pretty hard to watch.
So they basically burn Sybil, and she turns into a little crispy
Goodbye, my lover.
attached to a ladder. And at this point, they have Alyssa. No, they have Sharon, don't they? At this point,
Have Sharon try and speaking some fucking sense into these people. Like, what are you doing? Why are you listening to this woman? She is not the answer. The
Mm,
apocalypse is not going to. You are living the fucking apocalypse, man, you tits. Until Christabel can't take anymore.
mm-hmm. Burn the witch.
No, stabs her.
Yeah, well, yeah. And
Stabs her
then,
right in the chest.
because at first I thought she stabbed her in the shoulder, and then it pans down and she's got a right clean in the heart with this real sacrificial looking blade thing. And
Oh
I was
yeah,
like,
that is some altar shit right there.
yeah.
Talk a witch's pet. The reaction of Rose, because obviously there's a lot going on
Mm-hmm.
in Rose at this time, and how she acted that night. I questioned a lot of her acting abilities in this film, especially at the beginning. But by the time I got to the end, I realized it was a progressional thing. It was a mother who was completely and utterly lost, who generally didn't know what to do for the best when it come to her child and these nightmares which she was having. And what do? You face your fears. And she does grow as a person, and it kind of like has that effect on her acting, because by the time it comes to that last scene, like, I'm cheering for her. I'm on her side. I'm with her.
Chris Gans that directed it did say that he hated her approach to acting. She's one of these people who has to have 2 or 3 takes before every final take, possibly even more. Whereas Laurie Holden's she was very methodical. She'd go in and do take 1, and that's all she wanted. Not all she wanted to
She's
do,
a
but she'd
Frank
be ready to
Darabont
go.
girl, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's he didn't always like the amount of times Rada took to get to where she needed to be. So that might be why. Not only that there is a progression, but it might be why that they use some of the other
Then that's
takes.
yeah. Oh yeah, but I'm fine. I come to I like the idea of it when I kind of like weighed it up. If that wasn't intentional, then okay. But I do like how she reacted after she was stabbed, because like
The amount of blood that was coming out at one
it
point,
was the way she was like almost retching about it, like
her whole body was bucking. But then I think that was Alyssa trying to come out.
yeah, exactly, like or trying to like stop it, and like
Yeah.
because there's a lot of push and pull going on there.
Yeah. So I think then she does expel Alyssa, doesn't she? Or Alyssa somehow comes out of her.
Yeah,
And then the floor starts to
change.
drop away, doesn't it? And you find out that the pit is actually right below where they've been burning all the witches. She turned me into a new. I got better. She literally just and you're like, oh, hang on a minute, there's something really fucking going on here now.
Yeah.
And Rada Mitchell, her Rose's wound magically heals. Alyssa's out and in the church, and then they're all screaming at Rose for bringing Alyssa in and how they've unsullied their place of like purification. And then you slowly see this shot where there's just this sort of mass, and you can't quite work it out what's happening at first. This like scribbly mass coming up the chute from where the sort of like altar bit is.
Yeah.
And then you realize you see the bed coming underneath, and this I think was so well done, this bit here.
I love this.
Where they bring up Alyssa from the bed that's attached to the bed, who was the one that was burnt as a witch by Christabella to try and purify her.
This is where they both reunite.
Her bed literally comes up and she is being held, and she either commands, I think she commands the barbed wire.
It looked like it because there was a moment where one of the crazy folk was going after Rose, and it's almost like she did like this jab of the razor blade, and she kind of gives her a bit of a wink, like a acknowledgement, like I got your back, girl. You're okay.
It's you help me, now I'll help you kind of
Exactly.
situation. But it's like the razor wire / barbed wire comes out, and this is where it gets quite graphic, I think, for the scene where it's the face off between Christabella and bedridden Alyssa.
Yeah.
And it goes somewhere where you don't think it's gonna go. It goes very Evil Dead with the tree branches.
Yeah, grabbing the wrists and bringing her up, and it's like they're almost gonna. It's almost like she's trying to bring her face to face with her, and it's like, is it gonna be a war of words right now? It's fucking not.
No, because the razor it's the fact that the razor wire takes a trip to the deep dark depths of Christabella's nether regions and then comes out of her
I was going to
chest.
say Christabella's Bella.
But I mean, what a way. What a
Hey,
way to go. I mean,
no.
oh,
You think curling irons up there? No.
and it comes out of her chest, and then she literally just rips her in half. And Ellie's just like,
man. There's no words. There's nothing to exchange other than pain, suffering, and then death.
And she kills everybody in the room, so you think. But
Annihilates them.
Sharon and Rose are huddled in the corner because Sharon's like Rose is trying to protect Sharon. Sharon opens her eyes and she sees 9-year-old Dark Alyssa walking towards her and then passes out, and then everything goes black. And you see, when the lights come up again, you see Rose and Sharon walking out the door. Not a speck of blood to be found, no dead bodies. It's squeaky clean in there, like it never happened. But Dahlia is sat on the stairs, and she turns around and she says to Dahlia, Dahlia says, she never took me. She didn't take me. Why didn't she take me? And from what I can remember, Ryder Mitchell says something to Dahlia that Sybil had said to her earlier.
Mother
is God in the eyes of a child.
It's said in The Crow as well.
Yeah. And I just thought that was like, she left her because she's a mum.
Yeah, mother is the name of God on all lips of children. It's a line that's said in The Crow as well, and it was one that growing up I was like, ugh, that's a bit meh. And then when you're older, it's like, oh my God, yeah, it's totally true. Like your mother is your God.
And you can understand it because she was like, she spared you because you were her everything.
Yeah, you're a mum. Like, look at the suffering you went through.
And you allowed your daughter to go through. And that was the worst thing. So I think it was a double-edged sword. She was saving her because she was her mum. But then on the second hand, I think she was letting her live with her own mistakes and her own failings. She wasn't. Yeah, she's not going to let her escape her fate. Like
she did Christabella. Christabella had to die because she had to die. That was evil way beyond what just way beyond anything really.
Yeah. And then this is the weird bit for me. They managed to get back to the car, start driving towards going home, and then they drive over the great big cavernous hole like it wasn't there, because it wasn't. It was
that made me a bit uneasy when she drives over it, and it's like, oh, what?
Because it was an illusion given to them by Dark Alyssa. Yeah. Because Alyssa wanted to keep him there so she could either tell her story or whatever. But there's a look that Sharon gives Dahlia as she's walking out of the church. She looks down at her and she does this kind of like weird smile, and I'm like, Dark Alyssa's in there. When she passed out, it was Alyssa going into her body. Her own mother has gone into her body, her own mother has gone into her own child's body. So there was a double-edged moment with the mother, the whole God,
I didn't
mother
even
is
put
God in the
two and
eyes of
two
the child.
together for that, but yeah.
Yeah. So you've got the mother inside the body of the child now, and you've got the grandmother and the mother of Alyssa on the stairs with the stepmother, adopted mother, walking her out. So there's a lot of layers of mother, a
Meta.
matriarch there. So yeah, oh God, yeah. And so Sharon's leaving, but taking Dark Alyssa with her. So what that would mean, I don't know. I don't know whether it's just so she could be free.
Free of the place,
That's
potentially.
But it was just
But
the
but they're
creepy look
not.
she gives Dahlia, and I was just like, "Has she got some fuckery afoot planned?" I mean, obviously that might be addressed in the computer games, but
Mm,
I don't know. And
mm.
then you see them traveling, but it never becomes clear. It's
Never
always
changes.
foggy. It's foggy all the whole journey home, even when they turn into the house, foggy. They
Mm.
open the front door. It's foggy in the fucking house. I'm telling you now, as a person who has common sense, I would be very, very curious why it's foggy inside my house.
She doesn't look. She doesn't look phased by it at all.
Not
She
at all.
literally walks into it, and in the meantime, the parallel is Sean Bean is
Hmm.
at home. He gets a phone call, which is crackly. We see Rose talking on the phone, telling him Christopher she's coming home. She's got her daughter, and they're coming home. But all he can hear is just crackles.
Hmm.
And then he gets this sudden urge, which is something that he got when he was with the detective in Silent Hill, in what they could see of Silent Hill. And he gets that same sudden urge and he runs downstairs and realizes the door is open, looks outside, it's raining, and the movie ends.
Hmm.
That really confuses me.
So they're dead. They died in the car crash.
Really?
That's how I see it, right? This is how I see this movie. I think Sharon and Rose and Sybil died in the car crash. And Silent Hill was the purgatory slash limbo that they had to go through to move on.
Right.
So Alyssa had to tell her story for her to be able to release them, to be able to move on to wherever it was they needed to go. And obviously, heaven's not a thing in this universe that I could tell. So they let them, Alyssa enabled them to go home. So whether they're still stuck in limbo and that the parallel of the Sean Bean sat on the sofa but he could smell her or know she was there and she was sat. I mean,
I
you could
mean,
not fucking smell her at that point. She must have honked like a polecat.
she must have she would have been lifting.
Yeah.
Absolutely lifting the amount of shite she went through. But no, that actually makes a lot of sense because it's the whole he could when he could smell he was like I can smell her and he could feel her. It wasn't a smell on the set of the ending.
Mm,
It was a feeling. He knew she
yeah.
was there. He knew and the door was open. They were technically in it, just
Mm,
not in his real world. They were
yeah.
in theirs.
So whether that world that they are back in is heaven or their version of heaven or it's still purgatory, I don't know. But the way I saw it was that they died in the car crash. Silent Hill was
Ah,
purgatory slash limbo. They had to go through that to get to where they needed to go. But because of all the shit with Sharon and Alyssa, the purgatory was you
they
either
had a
went to
mission to
hell.
do before they could leave, basically.
Yeah, and the choice was they side with Christabella, they go to hell, or they can choose not to and they can move on. And that's how I saw it. But again,
Hmm.
whether I'm right or wrong,
You're
people
never
tell
gonna
me how
know.
you thought down in the comments. I'd be really curious to know what people think,
Please. I would
how
love
they perceived it. Yeah.
absolutely. Going through the film again, it has cleared up a lot of things in my head, I'm not gonna lie. And it doesn't stop me from just I have done nothing. Like I say, for the last few days, all I've thought about is this film, is this franchise, and it is so vast, it is so huge. And to think this was the answer to Resident Evil, this was a counterpart to Resident Evil.
There is we the parallel between the two is that Mila Jovovich was also up for the part of Rose. as well,
No, please stop giving that woman roles.
as well as playing Alice. I think she did Alice really well. That's what we know
Yeah,
her
don't get
as.
wrong.
We
I
know
do
her
love.
as Alice.
Mhm. I do like the
Whether
Resident Evil movies, but I love the Resident Evil games as well. So
I mean, she was Lilu before she was anything else to me. So Lilu Dallas, that's
oh,
Fifth Element. That's Mila Jovovich for me. However, people will say that she got Resident Evil because of nepotism, but I don't know whether she was dating Paul W. Anderson at the time of when she got the gig to be Alice, because they are married, they have children together, hence why she has done 75 Resident Evils at this point, because Paul W. Anderson is her husband. Yeah,
I've
so
watched them all. I've actually watched every single one of them.
6 or 7 of them, isn't there? Or
Something like
maybe
that.
8. I don't know.
I love the games. Even though the last one, I got stuck in a bush within the first 5 minutes and went, "Fuck this." I put
Well,
it down.
there's similarities if you look at the two. You've got your main
Massive.
protagonist. You've got the Red Queen, which can be a bit like Dark Alyssa. You've got there's a lot of like the apocalypse thing, the
Oh yeah.
monsters. There's a lot of parallels, but they are too far away from each other at the same time. I think we forget that the 90s was a hotbed of shock horror because they were trying to get horror back into the mainstream. Horror had died in the 90s. It didn't have it. I mean, I say died, there are some gems, but it wasn't, we're not talking 80s slasher fame. We're not
No.
talking,
Took a while.
no, I think people do give a lot of credit to Saw, the very first Saw with Carrie Elwes and Lee Winnell,
Yeah.
um, kickstarting the
Yeah.
horror
Not just
franchise
the
within the 2000s, but obviously Scream did it in 96. But my point being, there was because that was a parody movie. Technically, Scream is a parody movie of every single horror movie that's ever
yeah.
been
Every,
made.
every
So
every slasher that is literally just been before it, this is combined into one, but it got people talking again. It got the horror movement back again.
mm,
So I totally agree because it doesn't just bring the interest and gore factor to it, which
yeah,
has been lacking between end of the 80s into the 90s. It's also the cleverness of it as well. The actual twists and turns of
yeah.
it is like, oh shit, horror can not doesn't just need to be about the kills. There's an actual twist here.
I think for me, obviously, the Scream movies are your typical slasher, updated slashers. Then
Yeah.
you hit Saw, and Saw is the very first Saw. This is all I'm applying it to. I'm not applying it to any of the sequels at the moment. The original Saw was a cerebral horror in respect of that you didn't see John coming from getting up. You didn't know that was going to happen.
Mhm.
Billy wasn't the main protagonist that everybody gives him credit for being. He's a fucking puppet. Um, it's all John's brainchild, all of
Yeah,
it.
all of
Um,
it. And it's
and the
mapped
fact
out
that
and planned out.
exactly, and the fact that Tobin Bell laid on that floor
That's the
for
whole time.
months, that man laid on that floor while they shot that fucking movie.
It was
Um,
revolutionary. I remember watching it for the first time and being like, it was Sixth Sense moment. Like,
it
I'm not joking. And that really, like, I know it's been many, many years, but you have to remember what it was like when that movie came out. That was fucking mind blowing.
it was because it was like I said, it was a thinking man's horror because you weren't expecting that. That's something. The first movie had something you hadn't seen before. You
Hmm.
know, you had your tropes even leading up to that with all the, like I said, with the Scream movies, and then you had the parodies of the Scream movies, which was the scary movies, and then you had another rush of like Jason movies come out, and in all those kind of.
Yeah.
But for me, Silent Hill took the movie, kind of cherry picked some of the best directors slash storytellers in horror, like
Hmm.
Clive Barker, and decided to use his distinct imagery to make something as horrific as
Yeah.
they could, but with the new updated technology they had in 2006. Now, I don't think everything has to be CGI for CGI's sake, and that's why I'm so glad in this movie they didn't do that. The monsters are real. They are all costumed. They are all special effects. They're done with proper makeup. There's
Yeah,
special
there's
effects.
work behind it. It's not just all the
Yeah.
CGI plus. And I only said that earlier because genuinely I cannot make out on my mother's telly. Like bearing in mind, I am used to a 75-inch television here. I can't make out and and also the television is absolutely miles away from where the seats are, so I couldn't see it properly.
Yeah, the only thing that I could tell out of all the monsters that was blatantly obvious was the grey children. Um, but that was about it. So I mean, I will say this movie for me holds up as something that I don't think they would ever have the guts to make today because it's so visceral and so violent and so when I say gory, it's not in the sense of like they're doing it for the shock factor with
No.
this either. It had a place in the world that it was in to be like that. Like the
Mm.
corpses hanging in the lifts and the naked body of the woman who got completely degloved by him and there was you could tell he was a butcher. That was what Pyramid Head was. He was wearing a butcher's apron. He had a great big cleaver, you know.
You had to get big, massive arms.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can only presume he was one of Satan's minions that Alyssa had conjured up, or he was one of her demons that she conjured up herself. I don't know the lore behind how we got the monsters. I
No,
mean, I get it with Colin. Colin was punished for what happened to Alyssa, so she made him that way through, um, you know,
yeah.
sexual assaulting her. But as for where the head came from, or the lore behind him, I don't know. And the weird no armed man and
Didn't
the
even
grey
think of all
children
that.
and
Oh, hang on. Did I? No, I didn't. Because I was saying to Dan, I started looking at the monsters that were in here, but then I started getting confused with other aspects of video game slash other film, and I was like, do you know what? I'm not even gonna bother. I'm not even gonna do it. And so I didn't actually find out. Ah well. Ah well. I got no more.
no, I mean it's a heavy film when you
It
actually, like
is.
I say, look at the subtext. The subtext, this movie is just all about a kid's revenge after
It is. It's a
being
revenge movie.
impregnated and having to give up her child for adoption at 9.
It's a
At
pure
9.
on revenge movie, and
And
she gets it. She gets it in the end. She gets it in
yeah,
spades. She gets it in halves. She halved her. That's
I
all.
mean, I will say I love no other film at that time had that level of what the hell have I just watched?
Yeah.
Like for me, anyway, this is personal preference. And like I said, I've said this before. I've only ever had sleep paralysis once, and it was because I dreamt it was the night that I watched this film for the first time, and I dreamt that Pyramid Head had cut my arms and my legs off. I had sleep paralysis. I couldn't move. I knew I was awake, but I could see him cutting my arms and my legs off.
Mhm.
And my heart, apparently I was screaming in my, but I thought I was awake, but I wasn't. I was screaming. I couldn't move. I had no arms and no legs. It took me so long to come around to realize that I had
Awful.
arms and legs and I could move, and he wasn't there. And I'm not scared of him. I don't look at him and hide away.
It was
And it was
fantastic.
really random that he was in my dream because I don't have nightmares and stuff like that. I've never had sleep paralysis since. Never.
Um,
It's literally the one time in my entire life, and it was because of Pyramid Head.
I've had it once. I've had sleep paralysis once, but I'm nearly 42 years old and I still to this day still suffer with night terrors. Um, don't know where they came from. Never had them as a child. Just to develop them in my late 20s. And you know what it used to get us? What I used to think, and I say this is, Aunt told me this, is that I used to say that there was the red, the Matrix,
Hmm.
the red dots that you can see. That's what I could see all the time.
Right.
Don't know what that or a little boy. That's what I could see. And
Yeah, thank
I
you.
would tell Anne. Anne said I am the worst I am really am the worst person to sleep with because when I start, I can really, really scare you, but sleep paralysis, it's awful. Horrible. Blah.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
No, thank you. Well, next week I won't be here because I feel like I've whispered half the way through because this room is so echoey. Um, so I won't be here next week. I will be back home, and I will have kitty cats to bother the life out of me while I'm recording. What we're doing next week, Dan?
I'll tell you after I've done my 666 degrees of something or other that Jake named.
Holy shit! I need to stop doing this. 666. Is it Route 666?
I can't remember. I know that Jake named it and I've forgotten what he called it, so I'm gonna have to go back and have a look. But it's the 666 degrees of something.
666 degrees of
Tediousness. I don't know. But yeah, he did tell me.
I'll find it for you and I'll write it down.
I
So
have got it
go
written down.
ahead.
I'm just too lazy to scroll back right now.
Go.
Right.
Hang on. 666 degrees of separation. That was literally
There we
it.
go. I called it of something, so I was almost there. Right.
Go for it.
Kim Coates played the policeman in Silent Hill,
Yeah.
but was also in catastrophic fail and universal show success Waterworld in 1995.
One of Ant's favourite films, but go on.
Alongside Michael Jetta, who played Old Gregor, but is
Mhm.
mostly famous for me as playing Father Ignatius in Sister Act 2, or to you, he was Edward Delacroix in The Green Mile. Sam Rockwell played Wild Bill in The Green Mile.
Yeah.
Also started his career off with a small role in 1990s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
Head thug with
Mhm.
none other than Skeet Ulrich. Skeet
Yes.
voiced
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Skeet voiced many characters for the TV show Robot Chicken, and also Ralph Macchio did.
Yes.
Ralph Macchio was in The Karate Kid alongside Elizabeth Shue, who played Chris in Adventures in Babysitting. So,
Well, oh, hang on. Bravo. Bravo.
this one had me. This one was difficult.
That was juicy.
This one was difficult. I mean, I tried to find a quicker way, and I'm sure there may be, but I was like, I want to get to Elizabeth Shue on this one because I always seem to go back to Vincent D'Onofrio or Keith Coogan, but I wanted to get to Chris on this one. I wanted to get to Elizabeth Shue, so I was like, how the hell do I get there from Kim Coates?
Oh, good.
But yay! I got Sam Rockwell in there, my favorite actor as well. So
shouldn't do that. The dogs will wake up. Then I'll be in for a world of fucking pain. Wow. Okay. Need to stop. Need to start putting that on my notes to stop forgetting to see it because I fucking love it. That was probably my favorite one so far. That was epic. Right. What's next week, Dan?
well,
You.
there's people in it. I can tell you that much.
There's peoples.
There's people in it, and it has Lance Henriksen in it. It has who else does it have in it? Bill Paxton. It has so many people. Vasquez from Aliens, who Jeanette Goldstein. And I'm looking on IMDb because I did not expect to be doing this, so I'm saying it out loud now. It's 1987's Near Dark.
Yes. We're going down another movie that I've never seen.
Yes, it's a reluctant town. A small town farmer's son reluctantly joins a traveling group of vampires after he is bitten by a beautiful drifter.
Oh, vampires. But
I know
not.
they're not your favourite, but I mean, Bill Paxton, Jeanette
No.
Goldstein, and Lance Henriksen, you can't really say no to that, can you?
No, I can't. But also, Dracula's not my favorite. I don't mind vampires. You know how I feel about John Carpenter's vampires, but that's mainly because of James Woods and
His tight jeans.
leather and denim, Jan. Leather and denim. Yeah. So next week, well, this has been Silent Hill. But we are really interested in what your thoughts are, and especially of the ending as well.
Yeah.
I didn't see that one coming, so let us know in the comments. Yeah, next week is Near Dark. We are on the Nerdy Up North podcast. We are on the Nerdy Up North YouTube channel every Monday at 8 o'clock. So if you hit the notification bell, you will be notified that our episode is available for your viewing pleasure. But you can also search Monsters Up North from anywhere you get your podcast from, because on the same day, the episode will be available for you to listen to as well. The links for Believe and Marvelous, Monsters Up North, and Nerdy Up North are where done.
Hang on, let me just re-emulate Chris. I need the mop for my head and some
Oh, hang on, I should have my glasses on so I can pout.
down there, down there, down there.
Oh, look at your nails.
They're bright green with purple tips.
Just like your beautiful hair.
She called them the mask nails because they look like the mask logo when you see them in real life. It's that green and purple, like, you know, Jim Carrey's
Yeah.
The Mask. So it's like that. So that's what
I
they're called.
like it. I like it. And if you are listening to us on audio or wherever, go and check out Dan's hair on YouTube because it's fucking, or just check it on the socials if you want. It's fucking amazing.
I want to see it. Unless they do a screen grab.
I do screen grabs
She does. So yeah, you probably will see
and
it.
screen recordings. I did it. I did the ending.
Yay!
Yes. And I'll be back next week where I can talk normally and my normal levels, because I really do feel like I'm shouting in here. Sure, there's nothing else left to say. Say goodbye, Dan.
Do it for Yorkshire. Bye.
Stay spooky, everyone. Bye. Do it for Yorkshire. I've lost me.